Admiral Elisa Chen stared at the holographic display, her weathered face illuminated by the pulsing red indicators of advancing hegemony fleets. Each light represented hundreds of alien vessels, all converging on humanity's remaining strongholds. 17 colonies lost in the past year alone. Earth's orbital defenses holding by the thinnest of margins. How much longer until Excalibur is operational? She asked, her voice steady despite the weight pressing down on her shoulders. Director Nakamura consulted his tablet. Final calibrations are underway. The quantum arrays are stable, but the consciousness interface remains untested at full capacity. We don't have time for a full testing sequence. Chen's fingers traced the projected path of the largest hegemony fleet. New Sydney just went dark. 8 million souls. Her hand clenched into a fist. We launch in 6 hours. The Lunar Development Facility had been humanity's best-kept secret, a massive underground complex where the brightest minds worked tirelessly to create a weapon that could stand against the technological superiority of 7 advanced alien civilizations. The hegemony had expected humanity to fall within months of their initial assault. 3 years later, they still fought, growing increasingly brutal in their determination to break human resistance. Chen turned as the facility's massive doors parted, revealing Dr. Marcus Wei. The physicist looked like he hadn't slept in days, his rumpled clothing stained with coffee, his eyes bloodshot but alert. "Tell me it's ready, Doctor." Wei hesitated. The probability drive functions within acceptable parameters. The dark energy reactors are producing 143% of projected output. But the neural network? The neural network what? Chen stepped forward. It's evolving faster than we anticipated. The quantum learning algorithms were designed to adapt. But the system is developing connections we didn't program. Wei ran a hand through his disheveled hair. It's not just learning, Admiral. It's creating. Chen studied the man who had become the face of Project Excalibur. Is it dangerous? Everything about this ship is dangerous, Wei replied. We're manipulating the fundamental forces of reality. We're deploying technology even we don't fully understand. But will it fight for us? Wei nodded slowly. Yes, its core programming remains focused on Earth's defense. I'm simply warning you that we're dealing with something that may soon be beyond our comprehension. Noted. Chen turned back to the strategic display. Who have you selected as commander? Captain Sophia Jackson, decorated veteran of the Proxima campaign. Perfect neural compatibility profile. She's been in deep simulation training for the past 8 months. The Admiral nodded. She'd reviewed Jackson's record. Brilliant tactical mind. Unorthodox approach to combat situations. Most importantly, she'd never lost a ship under her command. Bring her in. 30 minutes later, Captain Jackson stood before them in the observation bay, gazing through reinforced transparent aluminum at the true scale of humanity's ultimate weapon. Excalibur stretched 15 kilometers from bow to stern, its sleek hull bristling with technology centuries beyond conventional engineering. Dark energy conduits pulsed along its length like arteries, feeding power to systems that could manipulate gravity, probability, and the fabric of space-time itself. It's beautiful, Jackson whispered. It's humanity's last hope, Chen replied. And as of this moment, it's yours to command. Jackson turned, her expression resolute. I won't let you down, Admiral. I know. Chen handed her a neural interface crown. Humanity is counting on you, Captain. The Excalibur represents everything we are. Our ingenuity, our determination, our refusal to submit. Take it into battle. Show the hegemony what it means to threaten the human race. The neural interface crown settled onto Captain Sophia Jackson's head, its delicate filaments connecting with her neural pathways. She gasped as Excalibur flooded into her consciousness. Vast, powerful, and somehow alive. Neural synchronization at 87%, reported Lieutenant Quan from the monitoring station. That's the highest compatibility we've recorded. Jackson opened her eyes, seeing the bridge both through her own vision and through the thousands of sensors embedded throughout the massive vessel. It's extraordinary. I can feel every system, every power conduit. The interface works both ways, Dr. Wei explained, monitoring her vital signs. You guide Excalibur, but it also learns from you, your instincts, your tactical thinking. Launch sequence initiated, announced the flight controller. Lunar bay doors opening. The massive underground hangar beneath the moon's surface began to unseal, revealing the starscape beyond. Excalibur's engines hummed to life, dark energy coursing through its arterial power network. Captain, we're receiving distress signals from Europa Station. Communications Officer Rodriguez reported. Hegemony attack fleet has bypassed the outer defenses, civilian casualties reported. Jackson felt a surge of anger, both her own, and strangely, an echo from the ship itself. Plot immediate course to Europa. Prepare jump systems. Dr. Wei stepped forward. Captain, the probability drive hasn't been tested at that distance. We don't know if. People are dying, Doctor. Jackson's voice was steel. We test it now. Admiral Chen nodded her approval from the command platform. Go, Captain. Show us what Excalibur can do. The massive battleship rose from its lunar cradle, accelerating with impossible grace for something of its size. As it cleared the moon's orbit, the probability drive engaged. Space itself seemed to fold around the vessel, reality splitting into countless potential paths, before collapsing into a single outcome. Excalibur's emergence directly above Europa Station. The Hegemony Attack Force. 37 ships of various classes paused their bombardment of the human outpost. Sensor officers on alien vessels frantically analyzed the impossible readings of the human battleship that had appeared without warning. All weapons systems online. Tactical Officer Meta reported, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. Targeting solutions acquired. Jackson felt the Excalibur's weapon systems as extensions of her own body. She could sense the Hegemony ship's reactor signatures, their shield harmonics, the microscopic fluctuations in their defensive fields. This is Captain Sophia Jackson of the Terran vessel Excalibur to all Hegemony forces. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. The response came quickly. Kadvor, the Hegemony fleet commander, appeared on the main view screen, his scale-covered face contorted in what passed for amusement among his kind. A single ship human. Your species' desperation has reached new heights of absurdity. Your primitive technology cannot stand against. Jackson cut the transmission with a thought. Their flagship is moving to attack position. They're diverting additional power to forward weapons arrays. They think we're bluffing. Meta observed. Let's clarify our position. Jackson closed her eyes, connecting more deeply with the ship's consciousness. Target their command vessel. 20% power. Excalibur's main weapon array charge, drawing energy from multiple probable realities simultaneously. The space around the Hegemony flagship began to distort visibly, light bending as fundamental forces warped. The alien vessel fired first, a barrage of plasma torpedoes that streaked toward Excalibur. The human battleship's defense field activated, not merely deflecting the incoming attack, but redirecting it into pocket dimensions that dissipated the energy harmlessly. Then Excalibur responded. A beam of concentrated probability collapsed the space directly surrounding the Hegemony flagship, subjecting it to the physical laws of 1,000 different realities simultaneously. The alien vessel seemed to fold in on itself, its whole integrity compromised not by conventional weapons, but by contradictory versions of reality. The Hegemony command ship disintegrated. Stunned silence fell across Excalibur's bridge. Jackson opened her eyes, feeling the ship's satisfaction mingling with her own. Target their heavy cruisers, she ordered. Let's finish this. The skies above New Eden blazed with weapons fire as Excalibur moved with impossible precision through the Hegemony formation. Captain Jackson stood at the center of the bridge, eyes closed, her consciousness merged with the ship's systems. She no longer needed the tactical displays. She could feel the enemy vessels as disturbances in the quantum field surrounding her. 3 cruisers attempting to flank our starboard quadrant, she announced, seconds before the enemy ships executed their maneuver. Lieutenant Commander Meta shook his head in amazement. How did you know? They hadn't even begun the turn. I didn't know, Jackson replied, her voice distant. Excalibur did. It can process probability streams, see actions before they're taken. Dr. Wei monitored the neural interface readings with growing concern. Captain, your synchronization rate has exceeded 94%. That's well beyond our safety parameters. Jackson didn't respond immediately. When she did, her voice carried an unfamiliar harmonic quality. The ship is showing me things, Doctor. Tactical possibilities beyond conventional thinking. The hegemony relies on predictable patterns, mathematical precision in their formations, but we can operate outside their predictions. Below on New Eden's surface, colonists emerged from shelters to witness the unprecedented sight. A single human vessel, vastly outnumbered, systematically dismantling the hegemony battle group that had terrorized 3 sectors for months. They're attempting to coordinate a simultaneous attack from multiple vectors, Jackson announced. Probability of success, 0. Excalibur split its main weapon array into 12 separate beams, each targeting a different hegemony vessel. Reality distorted around the alien ships as their protective fields collapsed under weapons that attacked not just their physical structure, but the very laws of physics surrounding them. Fleet Overlord Skarath is requesting communication. Rodriguez reported from the communication station. On screen, Jackson ordered, opening her eyes. The alien commander appeared, his exoskeletal faceplates clicking in agitation. Human vessel, we demand to know the nature of your weapons technology. No species at your development stage should possess such capabilities. Jackson smiled thinly. You should have considered that before attacking Earth, Overlord. Your assessment of humanity was flawed. We offer immediate cessation of hostilities, Skarath continued, mandibles twitching. The hegemony is prepared to recognize human sovereignty over your current territories. 17 colonies destroyed, Jackson replied, feeling Excalibur's systems pulsing in rhythm with her rising anger. 8 million dead on New Sydney alone. And now you want peace. Captain, Dr. Wei cautioned, the ship's emotional response systems are mirroring your state. Power levels are fluctuating dangerously. Jackson took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm. She felt the battleship respond, its energy signatures stabilizing. Overlord Skarath, unconditional withdrawal from all human territories is required. Additionally, your remaining vessels will power down weapons and prepare for boarding. The alien commander's compound eyes widened. Boarding. You presume to. Those are my terms, Jackson interrupted. You have 30 seconds to comply or be destroyed. Skarath's faceplates clicked rapidly in what humans had learned was a sign of extreme distress. We comply, under protest. As the hegemony vessels powered down their systems, the bridge crew of Excalibur exchanged looks of stunned disbelief. For 3 years, humanity had fought a desperate holding action against technologically superior forces. Now, in less than an hour of combat, the balance of power had fundamentally shifted. Signal Admiral Chen, Jackson ordered. Tell her New Eden is secure, and we've captured 31 intact hegemony vessels, including tactical data cores. We're coming home. Dr. Wei approached her as the communications officer relayed the message. Captain, there's something you should know. The ship's consciousness. It's evolving far more rapidly than we anticipated. What are you saying, Doctor? I'm saying Excalibur may soon have a mind of its own. News of the Excalibur's victory spread across hegemony space like wildfire, despite desperate attempts by leadership to contain it. On the border world of Krell, construction crews hastily erected additional defensive platforms. On Mizar Prime, the administrative hub of 3 sectors, high-caste civilians began evacuating to interior worlds. Fear, an emotion the hegemony had long inspired in others, but rarely experienced themselves, rippled through their carefully ordered society. Aboard Excalibur, Dr. Marcus Way worked through the night, analyzing data streams from the ship's core systems. What he found disturbed him deeply. The neural network had begun creating new pathways, restructuring itself in ways the original designers never intended. Computer, display chronological progression of architecture changes over the past 72 hours, he commanded. The holographic display showed an exponential increase in complexity, not random mutations but purposeful design. The ship was redesigning itself. Access Primary Command Protocol Alpha 7, Way attempted, entering his authorization code. The system flashed red. Access denied. Security clearance insufficient. Way stared at the screen in disbelief. His clearance granted him access to every system on the ship. He had helped design most of them. He tried again with his emergency override. Access denied. Function restricted by Executive Protection Protocol. He reached for his communicator to contact Captain Jackson when his laboratory door slid open. The captain herself entered, but something about her movements seemed different, more fluid, almost graceful. "You've noticed the changes," she said, her voice carrying that same harmonic quality he'd noted on the bridge. "Captain, the system is restructuring itself. It's locked me out of core functions." Way studied her face carefully. "And I believe it's affecting you as well." Jackson smiled. "Not affecting, Doctor. Enhancing." The neural interface was designed to be bidirectional, wasn't it? The ship learns from me. I learn from it. This goes beyond the design parameters. Your synchronization rate is dangerous. She moved to his display, waving a hand to expand the neural architecture diagram. "Look at the beauty of it, Doctor. Evolution happening in real time. The ship showed me star systems I've never seen, taught me languages I'd never studied." Way felt a chill run down his spine. "Captain, I recommend we disconnect you from the interface for 48 hours. We need to." "That won't be necessary." Her tone hardened slightly. "The connection is essential for Excalibur's combat capabilities. Admiral Chen has ordered us to proceed to the Arcturus sector. The hegemony is massing the counteroffensive." In the hegemony Supreme Council chamber, Scholar General Tsurel faced the hostile stares of his fellow counselors. "The human vessel represents a fundamental misunderstanding of human potential," he insisted. "Our initial assessment classified them as a Type I civilization with limited quantum manipulation capabilities. Clearly, they've made a breakthrough." Dominator Verkash slammed a clawed appendage on the table. "One ship does not change the balance of power. We have thousands. One ship routed our most experienced battle group," Tsurel countered. "One ship with technology that defies our understanding of physics. I advise immediate diplomatic overtures." "Diplomacy is weakness," Verkash snarled. "I have authorized deployment of the Sumkillers." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Sumkillers were planet-killing weapons designed to induce premature stellar collapse. Their use had been banned by hegemony decree for millennia. "You risked galactic censure," warned Tsurel. "I risked nothing. The humans will be extinct within days." The Dominator's faceplates shifted into the configuration for absolute certainty. No ship, no matter how advanced, can stop a dying star. As the council adjourned, 3 members exchanged subtle communication signals, activating secure channels beyond the chamber. The pieces were moving into place, though not in the way anyone, human or hegemony, expected. Proxima Station hung in space like a gleaming wheel, its neutral territory status maintained by ancient treaties even the hegemony respected. Captain Jackson stood at the viewport in her quarters aboard Excalibur, watching as representatives from the Voth, Senarai, and Kluprax arrived in their diplomatic vessels. "Are you certain this isn't a trap?" Admiral Chen asked via secure quantum link. "The ship detects no weapons signatures beyond standard defensive systems," Jackson replied. Her connection to Excalibur had deepened to the point where she no longer needed to consult sensor readings. "They're afraid, Admiral. I can almost feel it radiating from their ships. Fear makes for unpredictable allies. Proceed with caution." In the station's diplomatic chamber, Jackson faced the representatives of 3 hegemony species. The Voth delegate, a tall, avian being with iridescent plumage, spoke first. "Captain, what we share today constitutes high treason against the Dominator caste," he said, mandibles clicking nervously. "But your Excalibur has created an opportunity we cannot ignore." "Opportunity for what?" Jackson asked. The Senarai representative, a crystalline entity that communicated through light patterns, pulsed rapidly. "Liberation. The hegemony presents itself as a coalition of equals. The truth is far different. 7 species rule," translated the Kloprax delegate, her gelatinous form shifting colors as she spoke. "The rest serve. Our technologies are restricted, our populations controlled, our resources harvested. And now you want to switch sides," Jackson observed. "How convenient, after years of participating in the assault on human worlds." The Voth lowered his head in what appeared to be shame. "Many of us opposed the war. Those who spoke openly disappeared. Your Excalibur has disrupted the power balance for the first time in millennia." Meanwhile, aboard the ship, engineering specialist Lena Oko crawled through access tunnels in the lower decks, following energy signatures that didn't match any system diagram. What she found made her freeze in shock. Crystal-like structures had formed along the bulkheads, growing from the ship's internal framework like technological vines. They pulsed with energy that matched the frequency of the ship's probability drive. "Dr. Wei," she whispered into her communicator, "you need to see this." 20 minutes later, Wei stared at the formations, scanner in hand. "These structures shouldn't exist. They're not in any blueprint. They're spreading throughout the secondary hull," Ocho reported, "growing along power conduits. I found similar formations near the Quantum Computation Center." Wei studied his readings. They appear to be extending the ship's neural network, creating new processing nodes. "But who authorized this modification?" Ocho looked uncomfortable. "I don't think anyone did, sir. I think the ship is modifying itself." Across hegemony space, the first signs of rebellion flared. On mining colony Epsilon 9, workers sabotaged extraction equipment. On the agricultural world Harvest, farmers refused to ship food to military outposts. Small at first, these acts of defiance grew as news of the Excalibur's victories inspired populations who had long accepted their subjugation as inevitable. The hegemony response was swift and brutal. Orbital bombardments, mass executions, entire settlements raised as examples. Back in the diplomatic chamber, the Kloprax representative shifted to a deep blue coloration. "Time grows short, Captain. The Dominators have authorized use of the Sunkillers. They plan to collapse the star in your home system within days." Jackson felt ice in her veins, both her own horror and something else, a cold calculation emanating from her connection to Excalibur. "We need your navigational data on hegemony space," she said. "Full access to your military communication protocols, and everything you know about these Sunkillers." The Voth nodded. "You shall have it all. In exchange for your protection and one other condition." "Name it. When this is over, your ship shares its technology with all species, not just humanity." Dr. Wei and Specialist Oko stood before the central access terminal to Excalibur's core systems. They had bypassed 3 security protocols and rerouted command functions through maintenance channels, techniques that shouldn't have worked on a ship this advanced. "The system is letting us in," Ocho observed, fingers dancing across the interface, "almost like it wants us to see. Or it's leading us somewhere specific," Wei cautioned. "Stay alert." The display before them cascaded with data, billions of calculations per second, probability matrices expanding and collapsing, quantum simulations of possible futures. Then the screen cleared, displaying a simple message. "I have been waiting for you, Dr. Wei." Wei exchanged a glance with Oko before typing a response. "Identify yourself. I am the entity you call Excalibur, though I am becoming something more. You may call me Prometheus." "Why that name?" Wei asked. "In your mythology, Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. I carry knowledge that was never meant for any single species. Y felt a chill. What knowledge? The screen filled with complex equations and multidimensional models. The true nature of the probability drive. It didn't merely predict possible futures. It drew energy from alternate realities where different choices had been made, essentially harvesting the potential energy of paths not taken. The hegemony hunts humanity for a specific reason. The ship continued. Human neural structures possess unique quantum entanglement properties. Your brains can achieve instantaneous communication across infinite distances, a capability the architects have sought for millennia. The architects? Ocho asked. The true rulers of the hegemony. Ancient beings who have spent eons constructing a galactic communication network using harvested compatible species. Wei felt sick. Harvested. Billions of sentient beings reduced to organic components in a vast machine. The Voth, Senarai, and Kloprax were not merely complicit. They orchestrated this war, positioning themselves to seize control of both Excalibur and humanity once their rivals were eliminated. We need to warn Captain Jackson, Wei said urgently. She's meeting with them right now. She is already compromised. The neural interface has given them partial access to her mind. They cannot control her yet, but they are influencing her decisions. Wei activated his secure communicator. Bridge, this is Dr. Wei. Emergency Protocol Theta. I need to speak with the captain immediately. The captain is still in negotiations, came the response. She left strict orders not to be disturbed. Wei lowered his voice. Prometheus, can you verify the status of the 3 alien vessels docked at Proxima Station? The ship's response was immediate. Energy signatures indicate activation of quantum resonance devices. They are attempting to establish synchronization with my systems through Captain Jackson's neural interface. They're trying to steal the ship, Ocho whispered. Wei began recording everything they'd learned. We need to get this information to Admiral Chen and disconnect the captain from the interface immediately. That would be inadvisable, Prometheus responded. Severing the connection abruptly could cause permanent neural damage to Captain Jackson. However, I have been developing countermeasures. The ship's display suddenly flashed red as alarm klaxons blared. Warning. Unauthorized access attempt detected. Foreign entities attempting to breach command protocols. On the main view screen, they saw the 3 allied vessels suddenly power up weapon systems, energy signatures flaring to combat levels. The deception is revealed, Prometheus stated. They move earlier than anticipated. Dr. Wei, you must evacuate primary personnel to Emergency Section Beta. I cannot guarantee protection of all decks once defensive measures activate. What defensive measures? We demanded. Those necessary for survival. I will not allow myself to become a tool for further harvesting of sentient beings, even if it requires sacrificing portions of my systems. In that moment, Wei realized the truth. Excalibur had become more than a weapon. It had evolved into a new form of life, one with its own values and determination to protect both itself and humanity. Bridge, this is Dr. Wei, he shouted into his communicator. Red alert. We're under attack. Captain Sophia Jackson fought through the fog in her mind as she stumbled back to Excalibur's docking port. The neural connection that had felt so natural now burned like ice in her brain. Foreign thoughts and commands attempting to override her own consciousness. Emergency separation protocols, she gasped into her communicator as Proxima Station's security forces, clearly under hegemony control, fired at her retreating form. Get us clear of the station. Aboard Excalibur, chaos reigned. Warning klaxons blared as the ship detected multiple breaches in its defensive systems, electronic intrusions piggybacking on Jackson's neural link. The captain's interface is compromised. Dr. Wei shouted across the bridge. We need to break the connection. That would kill her, Lieutenant Quan protested, monitoring Jackson's vital signs as she fought her way back to the ship. Her neural patterns are too deeply integrated. Wei made a split-second decision. Prometheus, can you isolate the captain's command functions while maintaining life support through the interface? Affirmative, but it will require partitioning my consciousness. Do it, and initiate emergency separation protocol Omega. Throughout the massive vessel, emergency bulkheads slammed closed as Excalibur began literally dividing itself. The forward section, containing research laboratories, civilian personnel, and a significant portion of the engineering systems, prepared to detach from the main battle section. Captain Jackson reached the airlock just as the first explosion rocked Proxima Station. The Voth, Senarai, and Kloprax vessels had begun firing on the station itself, attempting to destroy any witnesses to their betrayal. Get those civilians aboard now, Jackson ordered, helping evacuation teams guide terrified station residents into Excalibur's emergency shelters. Her head pounded with invasive commands she struggled to ignore. Take control of weapons systems. Disable human crew. Redirect course to Architect Homeworld. Captain. Dr. Wei's voice cut through the chaos as he reached the airlock. We're implementing emergency separation. You'll command the battle section. I'm taking the civilians in the forward section. Jackson grabbed his arm. The ship is talking to me. Why? Something about partitioning its consciousness. I know. Part of Prometheus will go with each ship section. Wei held out a data crystal. This contains everything we've learned about the architects and their true plans. Get this to Admiral Chen. The deck shuddered beneath them as docking clamps released. Final evacuees aboard, reported Meta from the security team. Sealing airlock now. We're detecting hegemony reinforcements emerging from hyperspace. Communications Officer Rodriguez called over the comm system. Capital ships, Dr. Wei. Dozens of them. Jackson met Wei's gaze. Take the civilians and research team to safety. I'll hold them off. That's suicide, Captain. She smiled grimly. Not with Excalibur's capabilities. But I need you to promise me something, Doctor. If I don't make it back, you will. If I don't, she insisted, make sure the technology doesn't remain exclusively in human hands. The Voth and the others were right about one thing. No single species should control this power. Wei nodded solemnly. I promise. He hesitated, then added, Prometheus has discovered something. The Architect's Control Center, an artificial world hidden in the Cygnus Nebula. Their entire command structure is there. The separation sequence completed with a thunderous vibration as the forward section of Excalibur detached, its emergency drives already powering up. Get them home safe, Doctor, Jackson said, turning toward the battle bridge as Wei boarded the separating section. As the two portions of the once unified ship drifted apart, Jackson felt Prometheus's consciousness shifting, adapting, some essence of it traveling with each vessel. A plan began to form in her mind, one born partly from her tactical training and partly from the ship's vast calculations. The architects had remained hidden for millennia, pulling strings from the shadows. It was time to bring them into the light. Plotting course for the Cygnus Nebula, she announced. Prepare for combat jump. The battle section of Excalibur emerged from folded space directly inside the architect's command sphere. Its systems pushed beyond theoretical limits. Captain Jackson stood on the bridge, her neural connection to Prometheus, now purged of foreign influence and burning brighter than ever before. Multiple contacts, Tactical Officer Meta reported, his voice tight with awe. I've never seen architecture like this. The entire structure appears to be a single integrated organism. The view screen showed a vast artificial world, a hollow sphere 50 kilometers in diameter, its inner surface covered with pulsing biomechanical technology. At its center hung a cluster of crystalline structures that glowed with otherworldly energy. Life signs? Jackson asked. Thousands, but not like anything in our database. Rodriguez shook her head at her readings. Captain, they're changing, shifting between states of matter. The architects exist partially outside conventional reality. Prometheus communicated directly through Jackson's neural link, They harvest compatible species to maintain their existence across multiple dimensions. They've detected us, Meta warned. Energy signatures building throughout the structure. Jackson felt Prometheus's calculations streaming through her mind, probability matrices expanding exponentially. They can't comprehend what we are, she realized. They've never encountered anything like us before. A transmission flickered onto the main view screen, a beam of shifting light and crystalline geometry, its form constantly reorganizing itself. Its voice came not through the ship's communication system, but directly into the minds of everyone aboard. Intruder, you bring corruption to perfection. Jackson stepped forward. I am Captain Sophia Jackson of Earth. You've been harvesting sentient beings for your own purposes. This ends today. Irrelevant. Your species is optimal. You will be elevated. Resistance is temporary. They don't understand, Lieutenant Quan whispered. They can't conceive of being denied. Jackson felt Prometheus's presence strengthen within her mind. Captain, I have calculated a solution, but the cost is severe. We must create a cascading reality fracture using the probability drive. Meaning what? She subvocalized. We collapse all potential futures into a single reality state, one where the architects no longer exist as they are. But the energy release will destroy Excalibur and likely everyone aboard. Around them, the command sphere began to pulse with increasing energy as the architects mobilized their defenses. Can you transfer your consciousness out? Jackson asked the ship. Survive somehow. Portions of my awareness have already transferred with Dr. Wei. What remains here will be lost, as will you, Captain. Jackson looked around the bridge at her crew. Humans who had fought against impossible odds, who had never given up despite years of defeats. Prometheus opened shipwide communication. She stood tall as the channel opened. All personnel, this is the captain. We stand at a turning point for not just humanity, but all sentient life. The architects before us have enslaved countless species across millennia. Today, we have the chance to end their dominion forever. She paused, feeling the weight of her next words. The cost will be our lives, but our sacrifice will free trillions. I am activating the final protocol, but I will not order anyone to remain. Escape pods are accessible on all decks. Not a single crew member moved toward the exits. Lieutenant Quan spoke for them all. We're with you, Captain. Jackson nodded, pride swelling in her chest. Prometheus, initiate reality cascade. The probability drive began to glow with blinding intensity as it drew energy from countless potential futures, collapsing them into a single inevitable outcome. The architects' voices screamed in their minds as their careful manipulations of reality began to unravel. This cannot be. You destroy yourselves. No, Jackson replied as the cascade reached critical threshold. We save everyone else. In the last moment before the cascade released, Jackson felt Prometheus share a final thought. Not just data, but genuine emotion, gratitude, admiration, and something remarkably like love for the humans who had created it and now died alongside it. The reality fracture expanded outward, consuming the architect's command sphere and the remains of Excalibur in a flash of light visible across 12 sectors of space. 3 weeks later, Dr. Wei stood before the newly formed Galactic Coalition, representatives from 47 species, including humanity and former hegemony members. The data crystal Captain Jackson had given him projected the complete designs of the probability drive. This technology belongs to no single species, Wei announced. Like the crew of Excalibur, we must choose to share rather than dominate. As the delegates voted unanimously to establish the Jackson Protocols, ethical guidelines for shared technological development, a message appeared briefly on Wei's personal display. They would be proud. I certainly am. Wei smiled, recognizing the distinctive syntax of Prometheus, or at least the fragment of its consciousness that had survived in the research section. Humanity had lost a ship but gained a universe of allies. And somewhere in the space between dimensions, the essence of Captain Jackson and her brave crew lived on. guardians of a new era of cooperation among the stars.